Rumors are spreading fast about a terrifying slug monster that wiped out an entire family. People might think this is just another scary monster story, but the details make it highly unique. The giant creature was soon defeated, and its head was placed on a wooden pole right outside the main gate. Everyone got shocked because the survivor who did this was a 10-year-old child rumored to be a beast. A mysterious traveler soon arrives at the quiet village to inspect the remains of the defeated creature. This traveler is actually a famous hunter named Mong Ryan, who feels surprisingly sorry for the fallen opponent. Terrified locals quickly gather around to beg the hunter to eliminate the kid before anyone else gets hurt. The warrior silently wonders about this dangerous enemy that is supposedly disguised as a 10-year-old boy. Thinking that a regular child could never defeat a specter, the hunter slowly opens the gate to find the boy. Covered in blood, the weak kid asks for his identity, and the visitor introduces himself as a specter hunter. Looking closely at the boy, the traveler notices his creepy, lifeless eyes, which probably terrified the locals. He also notices a crude grave that the child dug on his own while starving without any food or water. Instead of attacking, the warrior offers some warm porridge, which makes the young boy feel very confused. The kid asks if the warrior came to destroy him because the locals always hated his creepy eyes. Hearing these sad words, the hunter quietly thinks about the actual truth behind this strange boy. The traveler sits down and asks the kid to explain exactly how he managed to defeat the massive monster. In a quick flashback, we see the boy hiding behind a door while the creepy beast attacks his home. Using a sharp bamboo weapon filled with salt, he managed to surprise the monster and take it down. The boy explains that he even sold his family belongings to buy information about his target's weakness. He displays the enemy's remains on a tall wooden pole to get equal revenge for what happened to his parents. The hunter can tell the kid is telling the truth and wonders how a mere child pulled off such a difficult task. Seeing his insane focus and courage, the warrior realizes this kid is a natural genius born to hunt monsters. Since his mission is complete, the tired child just wants to quietly lie down and pass away next to the grave. The hunter taps the kid on the head and asks for his name before learning that the boy is named Is. He then asks the young child if defeating a single monster was truly enough to satisfy his burning desire for revenge. Leaving some food behind, the warrior cancels the request and says goodbye to the boy, who is left completely speechless. Back in the village, the angry locals are shocked to hear that the hunter refuses to harm a perfectly normal human child. The leader even offers more money while claiming the kid is a curse who will eventually destroy their entire village. Disgusted by their greed, the warrior tells the villagers that their own hatred is what actually attracts evil spirits. Realizing they will not listen, he slowly lifts his hat and reveals a massive white horn that terrifies everyone present. The powerful warrior warns the crowd that he will punish anyone who tries to hurt the young kid again. He explains that his tribe actually works with humans to hunt monsters before officially canceling their mission. Left in absolute shock, the terrified villagers realize they just hired a literal monster to do their dirty work. Since they cannot rely on the warrior anymore, the angry mob decides to take matters into their own hands. Later that night, a sudden spark of fire lights up the dark sky as the wicked plan begins. The cruel villagers laugh like maniacs as they set the poor child's home on fire with bright torches. Tears run down the young boy's face as he desperately tries to save his family's graves from the burning flames. Crying out with pure malice, the wicked locals demand everything to burn, while their anger starts to manifest a dark power. A massive specter suddenly rises from the purple flames and threatens to destroy everything in its path. Looking up in absolute shock, the young boy instantly realizes that the hatred of these people summoned a real monster. Without wasting any time, the giant beast fires a terrifying purple energy blast straight toward the helpless child. The powerful attack hits the target directly and sends him rolling across the hard ground in extreme pain. Lying on the dirt covered in blood, the poor child weeps as he watches his family graves get completely consumed by fire. Refusing to give up, the young warrior slowly pushes himself off the ground and prepares to face the beast once again. The boy watches the wicked villagers turn into flaming specters who want to take away his final piece. He realizes he has absolutely nothing left to lose and decides to swing his heavy tool to strike them down. The kid suddenly remembers the hunter's words asking if he was truly satisfied with just one victory. A sudden burst of anger fills his body as he struggles against the dark purple flames holding him back. The hunter's voice echoes in his head to remind him that his burning desire for revenge is not done yet. He leaps forward with insane courage and drives his sharp weapon directly into the monster's giant eye. The giant beast recoils in massive pain as the young warrior successfully lands a devastating strike. The boy finally realizes his true purpose is to destroy every single monster in existence. As his broken body gives out and he falls, the powerful hunter suddenly rushes in to catch him. Holding the brave kid, the warrior praises his incredible spirit for never backing down against such a huge enemy. Looking down at the unconscious boy, the hunter turns his cold eyes toward the pathetic villagers who caused this mess. He explains that their ugly hatred and bad karma are the exact things that attracted this demonic energy. Pointing directly at the spirits, the warrior commands them to immediately apologize to the young boy's family. With a single swift movement, the hunter unleashes a devastating slice that shreds through the burning ghosts. The giant beast grinds its teeth and screams as it prepares to face the full wrath of the legendary warrior. The hunter easily cuts down the giant beast with a single strike while complaining about the noise. As the monster dissolves, the bleeding boy decides his goal, and the traveler praises his dark choice. Picking up the injured child, the warrior promises to look after him until he becomes strong enough for revenge. Sometime later, a butterfly guides the scene to a quiet room where the young kid is resting with heavy bandages. The survivor groans softly while waking up, and the hunter immediately notices that he is finally conscious. The savior introduces himself as Mong Ryan and says the boy can resent him for saving his life on a whim. He remembers how his entire village burned down and how this mysterious figure carried him away from the ruins. Looking at his clean skin, the boy realizes his tragic memories were real and his body has fully healed. The purple-haired savior enters and gets impressed because the young boy remains perfectly calm around her. She offers to teach him powerful combat arts, but the clever child wonders if this is too good to be true. Smiling at his quick wit, she warns him that his new home will be a dangerous realm filled with demonic energy. The powerful warrior releases a terrifying aura, while promising that his upcoming training will feel like pure hell. Instead of running away, the brave kid accepts the challenge and vows to follow her to obtain his ultimate revenge. The beautiful savior tells him to eat everything to recover his strength before they begin their journey. They travel deep into the misty mountains where the air feels heavy with a thick demonic energy. The duo soon arrives at a giant wooden gate which leads straight to the forbidden ghost guardian temple. The young boy wonders if entering this dangerous spirit territory will cause major trouble for his new master. She smiles and pushes the wooden doors open, while revealing that she is actually the legendary chief of this entire realm. The kid gets absolutely speechless when he sees a massive, beautiful hidden city stretching out right before his eyes. The boy looks around the beautiful hidden city and notices that all the residents are actually spirits. Some of the local residents look down at him and whisper about a weak human entering their sacred temple. The powerful chief suddenly shouts to the crowd that this young kid is her new student and family. Hearing her loud announcement, the villagers immediately smile and accept the boy with open arms. The kid is surprised by her massive influence before she decides it is time to start his training. She leads him to a giant table filled with delicious food and orders the chef to bring out plenty of meat. Looking at the huge feast, the boy wonders how eating relates to hunting monsters. Gently touching his hair, she explains that a child must eat and sleep well to grow strong. The chief explains that he needs to build a strong body now to avoid regrets during his future missions as a hunter. Hearing this, the young boy starts stuffing his face with food to prepare for the brutal training ahead. A cheerful spirit named Gong Ah suddenly runs in with a giant bowl of meat to help him build his strength. Before leaving the room, the chief orders her helper to make sure the kid eats absolutely every single bite. The girl is shocked to learn that the mature boy is only 10 years old while she is already 22. The chef explains that spirits age differently, which technically makes the happy girl only 1 year older than him. While the girl happily promises to take care of her new little brother, the silent child remains completely quiet. After stuffing himself to the limit, the boy walks outside while complaining about his massive swollen stomach. Gong Ah explains that the legendary chief is a powerful being who has hunted specters for over 300 years. Hearing this, the young child feels a strange sense of warmth and kindness that he never experienced in his own village. Their peaceful moment is suddenly interrupted by a group of hostile spirits who want to speak with the human boy. Looking at their mocking expressions, the child instantly recognizes the familiar gaze of cruel bullies. As the sun begins to set, the young boy stands heavily bruised after facing their brutal attacks. The arrogant leader smirks and claims they are simply sparring to show the weak human his actual limits. Looking down at the bleeding kid, the bully wonders why the powerful chief chose to train such a weak human instead of him. Instead of getting angry, the bruised boy politely apologizes for apparently ruining their practice match. Hearing this sincere apology only makes the arrogant opponent even more furious. A sudden barrage of brutal punches lands on the child as the attacker mocks him for being a completely helpless human. The attacker soon realizes that the beating feels wrong because the strange boy refuses to even close his eyes. As another massive fist flies forward, the young human quietly notes that the opponent follows a very simple pattern. Pure shock quickly fills the surrounding spirits as they realize the quiet boy is not actually helpless. Leaping forward with insane speed, the young kid prepares to land a massive counterstrike of his own. With a sudden burst of power, the brave kid lands a clean hit right on the bully's face. The kid notes his small body makes his reach too short, which is exactly what the master warned him about. He calmly tells the bully to fight seriously next time, because monsters will never show any mercy. Later that night, the powerful chief is shocked to see her new student, looking like an absolute mess. When she asks if the others bullied him, the quiet kid just claims they were having a friendly match. Using her glowing green magic, she heals his wounds while reminding him to come find her if things get too dangerous. She asks if he managed to strike his opponent back, and the boy tells her that she has nothing to worry about. The master grabs the boy's head to heal his face while complaining about his annoying habit of acting like a stranger. She gently reminds him that she introduced him as her family, so he needs to stop acting like a mere guest in this temple. The kid quickly explains that he did not lose on purpose, but his opponent was simply too fast for him to land any hits. After learning that the bully can fight adults, the young boy wonders if that strong opponent can also hunt real monsters. To his surprise, the master explains that the bully would immediately die because raw strength is not enough to survive. She points out that a true hunter needs both brain power and martial skills to defeat giant creatures without relying on luck. The legendary chief then decides to combine these two skills and announces his very first official training task. Without wasting any time, the brave kid begins running through the beautiful courtyard to build his physical endurance. Determined to succeed, the young boy spends his days doing intense push-ups and reading endless books. While watching him study for a whole week, the purple-haired girl asks if he ever gets bored of this routine. She gets completely shocked after learning that his master ordered him to read every single book in the library. Pointing at his fresh bruises, she wonders why his body is covered in wounds if he is only running and reading. The young boy explains that he must win a mock battle against a stubborn blue-haired spirit who hates him. Observing the scene from a distance, she worries because a human can never match the raw strength of a powerful spirit. Even though he gets easily beaten, the brave child keeps fighting until the angry bully threatens to break his bones. Gong-ah suddenly jumps in to protect her little brother while the bully grumbles and walks away. Instead of backing down, the brave kid asks for another round, and the opponent thinks he has completely lost his mind. The stubborn boy continues to chase the spirit every single day to beg for another spar. Even though the bully easily knocks him down, he gets frustrated because the weak human refuses to give up. As the training days go on, the injured child always gets up and prepares for the next round. The blue-haired spirit suddenly notices that the human kid is not even looking at him during their battles. This creepy realization deeply annoys the bully, who cannot understand his opponent's terrifying focus. The blue-haired spirit trains hard by punching targets because he refuses to let anyone steal his master's approval. He is convinced that his talent is superior and boasts that the weak human will never be able to touch him. Exactly 1 year passes by in the blink of an eye, and we see the young human standing over his fallen rival. Everyone watching is completely speechless when they realize the quiet kid actually managed to land a clean hit. While the hero looks at his own hand in surprise, the embarrassed spirit quickly claims that he only tripped by mistake. Losing his temper completely, the angry opponent rushes forward to strike, but the kid easily dodges every single attack. The bully wonders how this is happening, while our protagonist finally understands the true meaning of his master's lesson. Specters naturally have super strong bodies, and humans can never defeat them with raw physical strength alone. To overcome this physical limit, the boy spent his time acquiring intense literary knowledge. This study helped him easily memorize all the weak points of his opponent during their fight. However, knowing the weaknesses is useless if the fighter is too slow to actually hit the target. By combining martial arts with knowledge, the young boy lands a massive strike on the strong spirit. The crowd watching is completely shocked because a human just defeated a powerful spirit in only 1 year. Looking down at his fallen rival, the kind kid calmly asks if he is doing fine after that brutal beatdown. Walking down the busy streets of the hidden city, the young girl praises the boy for his incredible win. Their conversation gets interrupted when they notice the chief standing before a group of dark-cloaked warriors. The boy asks where they are going, and the leader explains that she must go on her regular hunting trip. She reminds him that they actually met for the first time during her last annual trip. The master then asks for an update on the training task that she assigned to him 1 year ago. A sudden hand grabs the young human as the blue-haired rival steps forward to announce his defeat. This surprising news shocks the leader, while the boy wonders why his former enemy is acting so friendly. The master happily pats the rival on the head, who blushes because getting her praise was his actual goal. As the master waves goodbye, the green-haired boy feels happy that his friends are finally getting along together. He explains that he only kept his distance earlier because he thought the rival still hated our young hero. The blue-haired boy decides to invite our hero for a special hangout while excluding the furious purple-haired girl. Tears of joy almost fill the protagonist when he hears his former enemy officially refer to him as a brother. Under the bright moon, the three kids decide to sneak straight into the temple weapons storage room during the night. Our hero worries about breaking the temple rules, but the blue-haired rival tells him to quickly choose a weapon. Holding a strange bell, the former rival suggests they settle their score by seeing who can hunt a real monster first. While the hero hesitates, the green-haired boy mentions hearing about a crying child ghost that is wandering nearby. The black-haired hero warns his friends that going out to hunt a random specter without information is too dangerous. The arrogant blue-haired rival mocks his warnings and grabs a heavy spiked mace to prepare for the challenge. Calling our young hero a coward, the group of proud spirit kids leaves him behind and heads out on their own. Under the dark night sky, the excited spirits march deep into the forest to find their very first target. The loud leader turns around and laughs when he notices that our hero actually followed them with a tiny wood axe. The arrogant rival assumes the human boy is simply terrified and wants to use this chance to show off his skills. Knowing the extreme danger, the quiet protagonist decides to walk behind them to make sure his friends stay safe. According to the books, a child ghost is a weak specter, so the blue-haired rival should easily defeat one. But the young human suddenly senses a terrifying presence and realizes that something is deeply wrong here. A giant spiked monster covered in screaming human faces slowly walks through the dark forest while letting out a loud roar. Meanwhile, the young spirit kids continue to wander through the deep forest while looking for their target. When the friends suggest going back home, the arrogant rival loses his temper and threatens to fight them instead. To calm him down, the clever protagonist explains that his previous victory in their match was actually pure luck. He adds that his blue-haired friend possesses incredible physical strength and superior combat skills. The blue-haired rival gets incredibly proud of himself and offers to let our hero join his group as a brother. Tears of joy almost fill the protagonist, who says he always wanted an older sibling, which deeply flushes his new friend. Their sweet moment is suddenly cut short when the creepy sound of a crying baby echoes through the dark forest. Eager to show off his superior skills, the blue-haired leader instantly charges forward to hunt down the target. His confident smile quickly disappears when he spots a giant creepy face staring at him from the shadows. While catching up with him, the main hero calmly asks if a regular child ghost is actually supposed to be this huge. The massive creature suddenly unleashes a terrifying roar while revealing multiple heads covered in wicked smiles. Realizing their massive mistake, the blue-haired leader panics and screams for everyone to run away immediately. The giant creature attacks with insane speed and easily blows away the young group with heavy strikes. Our brave protagonist barely blocks the impact with his shield before looking around to check on his allies. Cries of pure agony echo through the dark woods as the strong monster easily overpowers the rest of the kids. The multi-headed beast laughs mockingly while looking down at the young group lying defeated on the dirt. We learn that these dangerous monsters are divided into 9 ranks, based strictly on the survival rate of hunters. While low-level ranks are simple, a level 6 enemy drops the survival chance to a terrifying 20%. The terrible creature is actually a level 6 dragon horse, which is way more dangerous than a simple child ghost. Realizing that even professional hunters barely survive this beast, the young boy desperately tries to think of a plan. The arrogant rival cries in pain on the ground while regretting his dumb decision to start this hunt. Things get much worse when their friend Go Jeel starts coughing up blood from a deep stomach wound. The terrified leader wonders how they can escape from the giant monster while carrying an injured teammate. Standing before his fallen friends, the quiet kid calmly suggests that they must leave their wounded ally behind to survive. The rival is completely shocked by this cold decision, but the young hero explains that the boy is already doomed to die. The blue-haired rival screams in total disbelief when the protagonist suggests leaving their bleeding friend behind. Our hero explains that this monster feeds on negative emotions and is waiting for them to make a cruel choice. Tears fall down the rival's face while the poor injured teammate begs for his life in complete terror. The terrifying creature slowly approaches its helpless prey as their wicked trap seems to work perfectly. Watching his companion get closer to death, the blue-haired leader breaks down and struggles to make a final decision. Suddenly, a heavy stone wrapped in thick ropes flies through the air and lands right in front of the giant beast. A massive, blinding explosion of light suddenly goes off to completely distract the giant monster. Using this perfect distraction, a strong hand quickly grabs the injured boy to pull him away from danger. The rival apologizes to his wounded teammate as a sudden flash of light blinds the giant beast. The survivors immediately start running through the dark forest, while struggling to catch their breath. Left behind on the cold dirt, the injured boy wonders if his friends really abandoned him to save themselves. The blue-haired leader desperately runs away while holding back his tears. The bleeding kid smiles through his tears and mutters that they should only focus on survival. A terrifying multi-headed monster slowly approaches its helpless prey. Hiding behind a large tree, the protagonist watches the horrifying scene unfold. The injured teammate is violently dragged into the darkness as blood splatters across the ground. A massive set of bloody teeth snaps shut as the creepy red eyes of the beast glow in the dark. The trapped spirit of their teammate screams in absolute agony and blames his friends for leaving him behind. Watching from the shadows, the terrified boy hears a creepy warning that the monster will come for him next. The scene shifts to the temple where worried guards run around while the purple-haired girl wakes up from the noise. She soon learns that the group of kids has completely vanished and the main warriors are already searching for them. Remembering their last conversation, she holds her hands together and prays with all her heart for their safe return. Meanwhile, the young protagonist dashes through the dark forest as he finally chooses to look back and face the danger. The boy believes that leaving his wounded friend behind was the only logical way to preserve the remaining 3 lives. He remembers hiding from a monster in the past to survive and avenge his family, which taught him to make tough decisions. Remembering the sweet words of his captured friend makes the child feel a heavy burden as he walks alone in the dark. A wave of self-hatred hits the young warrior who blames the existence of these terrible monsters for his painful choices. A loud voice suddenly startles the kid as a powerful temple patrol officer named Guichen blocking his path appears. The angry officer immediately scolds the young boy and warns him that the chief will be furious about this massive chaos. When asked about the others, the silent boy reveals the tragic news that their companion was captured by the dragon horse. Hearing the terrible news, the patrol officer gets extremely shocked and clenches his fist in pure anger. He loudly demands to know where the creature is hiding, while the young boy explains its creepy appearance. The warrior tells the kid to return to the temple because he believes his own monstrous power is enough to win. The young hero refuses to leave and offers to guide the officer since saving the others is their top priority. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the injured blue-haired rival bites on a branch to endure the intense pain of his wounds. The 2 survivors catch their breath, but feel an overwhelming amount of guilt for abandoning their helpless friend. Tears stream down the angry rival's face as he blames the protagonist for causing this entire tragedy with his talk. Overwhelmed by guilt, the weeping leader screams that they should have just died together with their captured brother. A creepy baby ghost suddenly floats down from the trees and lets out a loud, high-pitched wail. Fueled by pure rage, the blue-haired warrior swings his heavy weapon and instantly crushes the small creature. He angrily yells that he would have beaten the main boss too if the human had not messed with his head. The crying companion joins the screaming while promising to wipe out every single demon in the forest. While they scream for vengeance, the giant multi-headed monster quietly sneaks up right behind them. A sudden brutal strike cuts through the air and leaves the blue-haired leader completely covered in fresh blood. Looking down at his fallen friend, the injured leader gets launched into the air while the giant beast laughs mockingly. Gripping his heavy weapon with absolute rage, the brave spirit vows to crush the monster to avenge his brothers. The angry young warrior charges forward, but the giant beast easily catches him and starts draining his energy. A powerful kick suddenly strikes the monster as the brave temple officer arrives to protect the young survivors. The bleeding boy looks up in total shock while the giant monster screeches from the sudden impact of the blow. The strong officer commands our young protagonist to take his injured friend and retreat to a safe distance. While our hero quickly helps his weak brother stand, the angry monster prepares to unleash its full demonic power. The beast suddenly mimics the voices of the captured children to beg for mercy and throw the brave officer off guard. Taking advantage of this hesitation, the monster lands a heavy pierce strike on the warrior, who roars in absolute anger. The wicked creature continues using the crying faces of the young ones to stop the powerful defender from fighting back. Even though the veteran knows these are just fake illusions, his deep emotions start to cloud his judgment during the battle. The clever demon understands this human weakness perfectly and exploits it to break down the resolve of its victims. Unable to strike back, the trembling officer takes another massive hit that sends blood flying across the battlefield. However, the arrogant monster has no idea that a completely different kind of warrior is preparing to make his move. Leaping into action, the young boy tells the officer to snap out of it because they are dealing with a heartless demon. Known as the Wailing Dragon Demon, this monster steals the voices and memories of children to trick its prey. The boy remembers from his library books that this evil beast intentionally drives victims into deep despair. The blue-haired rival weeps in terror when he sees the boy swing his weapon at their captured friend. Without any hesitation, the young kid slashes straight through the fake illusion to break the enemy trick. Standing next to the injured officer, the hero refuses to retreat and insists on finishing this demon hunt. Both the officer and the blue-haired spirit cry out, desperately hoping that their captured friends are alive. The cold child bluntly tells them to wake up because their brothers are already dead and being used as bait. The tricking spirit begs for mercy, but the brave child instantly throws a dagger into its fake face. The monster roars as the officer notices that the boy threw a legendary treasure weapon from the armory. The officer realizes the kid has a cold mind but admits his rational plan is their best shot at survival. Swearing to protect the children, the warrior charges forward to clash with the giant beast once more. A trembling hand grabs the boy as his crying rival asks if he has any human heart left inside him. The weeping spirit blames their cold choice for their friend's fate, while the protagonist remains silent. Tears flood the young rival's eyes as he cries out that dying together would have been much better. Without any hesitation, the protagonist strikes his blue-haired friend to make him snap out of his panic. Remembering his own painful past, the hero explains that dying together accomplishes nothing at all. Looking at his crying companion, the child vows to make the exact same choice every time just to survive. Nearby, the powerful temple officer continues to clash against the giant multi-headed monster. Fueled by deep anger, the young child vows to stay alive so he can wipe out every demon in existence. The kid throws a sharp dagger directly into the monster face to break its focus and create an opening. Seeing the sudden weakness, the excited warrior realizes this is their best chance to take down the beast. Apologizing to the captured spirit child, the brave officer unleashes a brutal strike to slice the monster. The special artifact dagger disrupts the flow of demonic energy to severely weaken the creature. Officer Guichin stabs the monster directly while the fake child faces scream for mercy. Gritting his teeth, the warrior roars that these crying faces are nothing more than evil illusions. A sudden deadly counterattack strikes the brave officer and forces him to fall to the cold ground. Watching the fallen protector groan on the dirt, the terrified blue-haired rival screams in pure shock. The injured beast recovers from the attack as dark demonic energy surges through its massive body. Raising its giant arms, the demonic creature unleashes a terrifying slam that shatters the ground. Feeling its life threatened for the first time, the enraged monster slams the warrior to the ground. Blood splatters everywhere as the wounded beast realizes it needs to retreat into the shadows to heal. Before escaping, the wicked creature decides to eliminate the brave child who ruined its evil plan. Leaping high into the air, the young hero surprises the giant demon with a sharp axe strike from above. The creature shrieks in agony as the boy mockingly notes how cornered and desperate it has become. Even as the fake face of his captured friend begs for mercy, the cold kid slashes through it without hesitation. Fake faces desperately cry out for mercy, but the cold kid slashes right through them without a second thought. Looking deeply into the enemy eyes, the young warrior declares that he will never let an evil monster survive. Heavy strikes echo loudly across the dark forest as the unrelenting hero pummels the giant creature. Watching from behind, the blue-haired spirit sits completely frozen while trembling in absolute terror. The giant beast whimpers in pain on the cold dirt as the young kid pauses his relentless attack. Looking down at the defeated enemy, the boy coldly notes that even evil monsters can express fear. Covered in dark blood, the brave kid leaves his terrified companion completely speechless by his ruthless nature. Disgusted by the bloody scene, the blue-haired spirit gags while watching the young protagonist finish off his enemy. Weeping on the dirt, the injured rival cries over the tragic loss of all their fallen companions. Approaching his crying friend, the quiet boy extends a bloody hand and asks if he can stand up. Meanwhile, temple search parties roam the dark forest using bright torches to locate the missing children. The guards react with shock when they spot the bloody survivor carrying his injured friend out of the woods. As the sun rises over the mountain temple, a quiet morning begins after the long, terrifying night. Inside a peaceful room, the purple-haired girl lies wide awake while worrying about her young friends. Tears stream down Gong-a's face as only 2 kids return with news that 3 temple members were killed. Seeing the traumatized survivor lock himself in his room crying, everyone realizes the terrible story is completely true. Meanwhile, Gong-a gets deeply confused because our young hero continues his daily training as if nothing ever happened. While watching him run through the courtyard, she feels that approaching the cold child is getting harder every day. Dark rumors quickly spread among the locals after learning that the fallen spirit suffered sharp axe wounds. The temple spirits whisper among themselves and wonder if the human child actually betrayed his own friends. Watching his emotionless expression while running, The suspicious crowd begins to view the young boy as a total monster. Inside the altar room lie the wrapped bodies of the 3 fallen temple members. Looking at the corpses of her brave warriors, the chief feels deep grief and shock. She wonders how a dangerous monster managed to bypass their barrier without leaving a single trace behind. After praising the child for recovering the bodies, the leader asks him to explain what happened. The young protagonist calmly recounts the chaotic battle where his teammates were brutally wiped out. Finishing his report, the quiet boy stands silent as a masked investigator steps forward to question him. The officer admits that abandoning their wounded ally and destroying fake faces were the best strategic choices. Even so, the angry investigator screams at the young survivor for describing his dead friends with zero emotion. The chief suddenly steps in and angrily orders the guards to immediately leave the room. Turning to the boy, she asks him not to mind their anger while pointing out how his tone upset everyone. The young child explains that he intentionally took their anger to bear the burden for his fallen friends. Surprised by his response, the master asks if he truly expected her to scold him for breaking the temple rules. She explains that yelling at him changes nothing while feeling frustrated that he carries such a heavy burden alone. Realizing a full year passed without teaching him properly, the leader decides it is time for a change. She calls the confused boy forward and prepares to give him his very first official lesson. The chief explains that they must perform a ritual to send off the fallen spirits so they do not turn into monsters. The boy hesitates because he fears his dead friends will hate receiving comfort from the person who left them behind. She instructs him to hold the sacred prayer paper in one hand while ringing the ritual bell with the other. Kneeling before the covered bodies, the young child begins reciting the sacred words to guide their souls toward peace. As he rings the sacred bell, dark memories of his screaming friends try to shatter his resolve during the ceremony. Watching him closely, the master warns that a soul ritual will fail completely if the departed spirits refuse to forgive him. The master explains that glowing spiritual energy proves the ritual worked and the souls hold no hatred toward him. Soft spirit light floats gently around the child as he feels shocked to learn his fallen friends actually forgive him. Feeling like a total monster, the boy wonders if his unknown birth parents would ever weep for his tragic life. Surprised by his deep words, the chief learns that the family killed by monsters were actually his adoptive parents. The boy explains his earliest memory was collapsing in the rain before a famous scholar found him a new home. His adoptive family showed him pure love, so he made it his main goal to repay their kindness one day. Since specters took everything away, he lives only for revenge to ease the overwhelming guilt inside his heart. Feeling sorry for the kid, the master asks if he truly believes he can never repay his past family. She suggests fulfilling their final wish by growing up properly so their souls can finally rest in peace. Hearing these words, the young hero realizes he can still do something meaningful for his family and fallen friends. With a determined smile, the brave boy vows to eliminate every single demon while fulfilling their final wishes. The chief facepalms after realizing the kid turned her sweet advice into yet another heavy burden to carry. Learning that the child is 11 years old, she notes that he has 5 years left until he turns 16. The master suggests sending him to the top demon hunting group once he turns 16 to take their entrance exam. The young boy recognizes the name Daimudo from his library books and asks if a human can join them. The master explains that cultivators seek immortality, and Daimudo teaches secret spirit arts to banish demons. She adds that cultivators do anything for power, so the world views them as absolute monsters. Hearing this, the brave kid agrees to take their entrance exam when he turns 16 years old. Leaving to finish her hunt, the leader promises to train his body as soon as she returns. Before walking away, she advises him to open up to the other spirits to clear up their misunderstandings. Meanwhile, autumn leaves fall as the blue-haired spirit lies awake inside his quiet room. Lying alone on the floor, the blue-haired spirit blames himself for the tragic loss of his close friends. A small hole gets poked into the door as our young protagonist looks inside to check on his grieving friend. Standing outside, the boy apologizes for his cold actions while admitting that destroying demons was his only focus. He explains his new purpose to carry on the unfulfilled dreams of everyone who lost their lives that night. The honest child asks if they can talk together while promising to become true friends no matter how long it takes. Before walking away, the young hero even apologizes for damaging the paper window and offers to fix it. Inside the main room, the purple-haired girl stands completely surprised while watching the young boy approach them. Overwhelmed by emotion, Gong-ah breaks into tears and hugs the brave kid tightly. Following his master's advice, the young hero approaches the cloaked warriors to break his isolation. The powerful spirit warrior responds warmly, which fills the child with fresh determination. Day and night, the determined boy reads ancient books while Gong-ah sleeps right beside him. The chief supervises his brutal balance training to forge his physical endurance into pure steel. As seasons change and winter arrives, the young child continues working hard alongside his friends. During their intense combat sessions, the master effortlessly dodges his attacks while reading a book. As winter snow turns to rain and sun, the young boy continuously trains while growing up through the passing years. 5 whole years fly by as cherry blossoms bloom to mark the end of his intense training period. Inside the temple kitchen, Gong-ah happily finishes preparing a fresh tray of warm steamed buns. Stepping outside with the food, the purple-haired girl gasps in total shock after spotting a tall visitor waiting nearby. She playfully scolds him for standing silently, while the grown warrior calmly explains he did not want to interrupt her. Excited to see her little brother all grown up, the happy girl rushes forward while calling out his name. The grown warrior eats a massive feast with his master to prepare for his upcoming departure. He confirms that he mastered the Dakabi martial arts and finished reading every book in the library. The chief gets amazed because most warriors consider her brutal training to be pure hell. Instead of complaining, the young hero admits that training with her was the most precious time of his life. Smiling at his sweet words, she affectionately ruffles his hair while the helper notices how tall he has grown. Before departing for his next destination, the brave fighter stops by his rival room to say a final farewell. After carefully fixing the paper window, the young warrior promises to return as he officially sets off on his journey. A finger pokes through the paper door as Il-Chui suddenly speaks to the departing warrior. The young hero reminds his friend how he listened to his stories for 5 long years. Sitting alone inside the dark room, the grieving rival admits feeling heavy guilt over their fallen brothers. Inspired by the young hero, the blue-haired spirit vows to leave the room and meet him again. Placing a hand on the doorframe, the warrior promises to wait until his friend returns. Outside in the courtyard, the chief offers to accompany him, but he prefers to travel alone. Before leaving the temple, the master hands him a special weapon to protect himself on his journey. The master gives him a legendary blade while urging him to accept the precious weapon as her family member. Other residents quickly gather around to shower the young hero with rare gifts and apologize for past misunderstandings. Watching the warm scene, the chief feels happy to see everyone get along as the purple-haired helper steps forward. She tearfully gifts him her own shed horn, which holds massive sentimental value to her entire species. The leader playfully teases her helper about starting a family together, which leaves the poor girl completely flustered. Smiling softly, the young warrior bows deeply to express his absolute gratitude toward the kind spirits who raised him. Tears stream down her face as the sweet helper waves goodbye while watching him walk away to start his epic journey. Gong-ah tearfully shouts her farewell, while the young warrior pauses his steps to admit he will miss everyone. Smiling warmly at his family, the brave hero officially bids goodbye and heads out on his journey. Traveling across misty mountains, the young fighter eventually arrives at the grand city of Kingshan capital. He spots a massive crowd of applicants lining up right outside the registration desk for the martial exam. Stepping up to the desk, the 16-year-old protagonist gives his name as Is from Subu village. When asked about his affiliation, the clever boy decides to hide his secret connection to the temple. The masked examiner stares at him in complete silence after receiving such an unusual answer. The examiner presents a dangerous waiver document that warns about death risks during the upcoming test. After signing, the hero receives his official wooden token and learns the exam starts in 2 days. Walking through the grand capital, the young fighter notices how strange and unique the city feels. Merchants sell monster parts and fake talismans because the famous demon-slaying group lives nearby. Powerful warriors roam the streets while others search for food from high rooftops. Wind blows through his hair as the brave kid wonders if he will meet a monster even worse than himself. The crowded market stays full of merchants selling strange charms, and monster remains to travelers. Looking at his new wooden token, the protagonist decides to find a room before his stomach lets out a loud growl. Entering a local restaurant completely alone, the boy gets greeted by a friendly waitress who leads him to a wooden table. After asking for recommendations, the young warrior completely shocks the server by ordering a massive mountain of food. Watching the funny interaction from nearby, a handsome blue-haired guy gets amused and orders the exact same giant meal. Sweating in total disbelief, the stunned waitress brings out 2 giant trays while wondering if hungry specters just entered. Without wasting a single second, both young fighters happily stuff their faces with the delicious steaming dishes. Watching the black-haired boy gulp down food, the blue-haired stranger gets amazed to find a rival who can eat just as much. While the stranger wants an eating competition, our protagonist simply wishes the boy would leave so his food comes faster. As they try to order more, the nervous waitress demands payment first and asks for 490 jin from both fighters. Looking inside his small wallet, the young hero panics after realizing how fast his travel money will run out. Noticing his hesitation, the wealthy stranger offers to pay for the entire meal so their fun-eating battle can continue. Before the waitress can grab the money, the proud protagonist instantly grabs the stranger's hand to refuse his offer. Confused by the sudden rejection, the blue-haired boy wonders why anyone would ever turn down a free meal. The boy explains that accepting free food would hurt his pride, which leaves the stranger thinking in silence. Before getting ready to leave, the blue-haired guy introduces himself as Hey Unchan after learning our hero's name. After learning they are both taking the upcoming exam, the stranger suggests turning their match into a real competition. With a creepy grin, the excited rival explains that proving your superiority over someone else is pure fun. Waving goodbye to his new rival, the cheerful boy promises to meet again at the official test in 2 days. Watching him leave, the young warrior realizes his master was right about how strange these cultivators can be. 2 days quickly pass by as the scene shifts to the massive mountain hall where the official exam begins. Arriving at the exam site, the young warrior pushes through a massive crowd of nervous applicants. He spots dozens of unconscious candidates lying on the stairs right below a chained demon. Before he can pull his weapon, his blue-haired rival appears to explain that the monster was placed there for the test. The friend points toward a wooden sign that outlines the rules for passing this first trial. The rules state that the demon will not attack, and anyone who strikes it gets instantly disqualified. Pointing toward the long stairs, the rival highlights a confident, muscular fighter stepping forward. The strong candidate believes the others collapsed from intense fear and walks ahead with total confidence. Believing he can easily make it, the muscular candidate steps forward before getting slammed down by a sudden aura blast. Watching the fighter roll down the stairs, our young hero realizes why everyone else collapsed. Unchan smiles and decides to take the challenge first while getting into a fast running stance. Dashing up the long steps, the blue-haired boy gets targeted by a massive surge of dark red killing intent. With a confident smirk on his face, the rival keeps moving forward as if the pressure means nothing. Shocked by his insane speed, the surrounding crowd wonders how someone can walk through that terrifying aura. Observing the scene, the protagonist confirms that the monster is still releasing its full wave of deadly pressure. By letting the heavy aura flow right past his body like water, the blue-haired boy moves effortlessly. Observing his incredible skill, the young protagonist gets completely amazed by his new rival. Reaching the top of the stairs, the fast warrior places his hand on the demon and waves down to ease.